Good morning, everybody. So today we're going to be talking about our Lesson 2 summary, which is, there's a couple of main ideas. So we've been talking about how slavery has affected the country and how we are so polarized. The North wants there not to be slavery. The South wants slavery to stay so that they can keep their economy up. And this debate even expanded to influence the election of 1852. We're going to be learning about the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which allowed voters to either allow or prohibit slavery. And we have pro-slavery and anti-slavery groups that are starting to clash violently. And this becomes known as Bleeding Kansas because so many people were hurt during these outbreaks of violence. They call it Bleeding Kansas. Oops. Oh my goodness. So here you have your key terms and people. When you do your questions later, you're going to want to refer back to those. So let's first look at the election of 1852. So this is the presidential election. The year is 1852. And we have a Democrats nominating a man named Franklin Pierce. He was not a very well-known politician, but his promise to honor the Compromise of 1850 assured him many Southern votes. And Pierce ran against a man named Winfield Scott. Winfield Scott was a Whig. He was a candidate Southerners did not trust because he had failed to support the Compromise of 1850. Pierce won the election by a huge margin. And then we have what's called the Kansas-Nebraska Act. The slavery issue continued to plague our country. In 1854, Stephen Douglas introduced the Kansas-Nebraska Act. Now, we're going to hear more about Stephen Douglas later on, so remember that name. And he introduced the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which addressed slavery in the Louisiana Territory. It got its name from the two territories which it divided the rest of Louisiana, Kansas and Nebraska. In each territory, popular sovereignty would determine the slavery question. Remember, popular sovereignty is the people voting to decide for themselves. The act ended the restriction placed on slavery in the Missouri Compromise. Northern abolitionists were upset about the act's implications. To make sure Kansas voted in favor of slavery, pro-slavery voters left their homes in Missouri. They crossed the border and they voted in Kansas. So this is voter fraud. This is legit voter fraud. People from Missouri were voting in Kansas to get the votes to go up for slavery. They won and quickly set up a pro-slavery government. However, those who did not believe in slavery set up a separate government in Topeka. So here's another example of, we don't like it, we're setting up a different government. And this leads us to Bleeding Kansas. In May 1856, pro-slavery jurors charged anti-slavery leaders with treason. Treason is going against your country. Pro-slavery forces rode to Lawrence to address those charges. When they found the suspects had fled, they burned and looted the town. The Sack of Lawrence, that's what it's called. The Sack of Lawrence outraged many abolitionists, including John Brown of New England. Together with a group, John Brown was responsible for the Potawatomi massacre. in which 5 pro-slavery men were killed. And quickly, Kansas fell into civil war. Fighting even took place on the Senate floor. So I want you to picture this. We have senators in Washington, D.C., and we have a South Carolina representative, Preston Brooks, used a cane to beat Massachusetts Senator Charles Sumner into unconsciousness because Sumner criticized the pro-slavery leaders. So, this is an example of how passionate people were about this issue. For us, it's a no-brainer. Slavery is wrong, should never have happened, shouldn't be continuing. But back in this time, people were extremely passionate about the fact that they either knew slavery was bad or that they felt the South could not continue to have, a strong economy without it. And slavery comes down to money. It's plain and simple. The Southerners were supporting it because they wanted to have a strong economy. And this is your task for today. You're reading each statement carefully. You're writing a T if it's true, a false if it's not true. And if it is not true, this is what the directions say. If the statement is false, write the correct term on the line after each sentence that makes the sentence true. So you do not have to rewrite the whole sentence. You're just replacing this underlined word or words with the correct word. And that's what you're writing on the line. So you're doing 1 through 8. Proofread it carefully. You do have a word bank, so make sure you spell everything correctly, capitalize it correctly, proofread it, turn it in. And then there's a really good video for you to watch when you're done with your video, with your assignment here, and then your video. Then you're free for the rest of the period. You can go have a snack before your next class. Please remember that I will be coming in shortly after this period, and the way I have to take attendance is to check that you've done your work, and then I'll know you're here. Okay? So please get your assignment done, do it well, and I will see you all tomorrow.